You're listening to the Beauty Beyond Bella podcast, powered by Formula Wellness.
I'm your host, Dr. Yvette Suarez, owner and medical director of Bella Excellence, a diamond-accredited anti-aging med spa in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. On this show, we explore the latest trends in health, beauty, and anti-aging medicine while celebrating the inspiring journeys and achievements of our guests.
So welcome. Today I have Lauren Andreacchi with me, and she is our VP of Marketing from Formula Wellness. And I just want to start saying, one, thank you so much for coming today and being on our podcast. And number two, I love having boss women on my podcast. Like, it is such an amazing thing. And I want to encourage all the other women in there to never feel like they can't succeed. So tell me a little bit about like this title, VP Marketing. You got to own that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big title. It's certainly one that I'm not the most comfortable talking about. And I think we've, discussed that before, that we kind of play down our roles often. But yeah, I mean, I've worked really hard. I've put in a lot of time and energy into my career. So I've earned the title of VP of Marketing. But it is something that, comes with obviously tremendous responsibility, and I carry a lot of weight on my shoulders as a result of the title, but something that I feel very comfortable with and capable of doing.
Well, you're definitely capable. We love to torture you and send you lots and lots of emails and lots of information. I want to dwell back a little bit on what you just said. And I think as women in any of our professions, when we're successful, there's almost this little guilt about it, or we can't show it off, or a man would never say, I'm embarrassed of saying I'm VP of marketing, right? They would own that, and almost sometimes they even upgrade themselves a little bit before the time. And yet women, we take that step back. I think we need to figure out how to change that concept.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. Something that I guess we're a little bit timid about as women, and maybe the way that we've been raised and what society has told us to do, that we kind of stand down at times. And so I feel like, it's when people ask me what I do, I just say I do marketing. I am hesitant to provide my title, but certainly something I'd love to work toward feeling more comfortable, stating my title to others, for sure.
And look, I think we're proud of what we do, and I don't want people to think that we're not proud. Mm-hmm. But I do the same thing. If I go out somewhere, I just tell them I work in the medical field or something like that. I really never give them my title. I think the perception is, if I tell them I'm a physician, the men always look at me funny, and they always have these questions. I think they don't expect us to be smart, professional women, and we probably all need to start stepping out and pronouncing these titles a little bit better than hiding them. But we're all in that same boat. Like you said, we're very caring women.
Yeah, and I think you said something earlier that kind of struck a chord with me. It's the fact that we feel like we have to kind of cut away at ourselves a little bit and not show up as too strong of individuals. And so I think that sometimes I feel like if I were to state my title, people will like me less, and they'll be, maybe more intimidated by me, which will create more of an adverse reaction to me, because I'm, I want to win people over. And in order to win people over, my thoughts, the talk track that I tell myself is that I can't lead with this type of information, because somebody may not like me and will be more standoffish with me because of that.
Yeah. So we talk about feminine energy, masculine energy, and judgment, right? So we get judged if we don't show feminine energy, right? So we have to come in very soft-spoken, very demure, very accommodating, versus coming in and being this powerful energy that needs all of this done. We are perceived very different from a man coming in and having that energy.
Yeah, and I always am trying to tell myself to be more passive, because my true energy is very assertive, and what others can read as aggressive. And I think you have a very similar energy to me, that kind of alpha energy that we exude. And I think I've been coached and trained to rein that in, which is interesting, because I don't think that men receive that same training or coaching. And so why is it different for a woman versus a man?
Yeah. And I think when we talk about that, right, we are these powerful women, which we need to learn not to hide that for sure. And I think that people also think that we're going to be mean or callous, especially to other women. And I look like there's nothing more than I love to uplift other women.
Yep.
This is not about ever taking down other women. This is about bringing everyone together and showing that we can all have a place in this world. And whatever choice they make in their lives, right, we're still very, very supportive.
Yeah, and that was actually getting into a management level role where I had direct reports. That was kind of a big game changer for me in my career, because it was at that point that I really felt like I had a sense of responsibility of uplifting the women around me. And, my goal was I wanted to train everyone on my team to do my role that I was doing and even and further. And so I have definitely loved being able to work with other women to say, you can do exactly what I'm doing. Let's train you up. Let's get you leveled up to work at this higher level. So, I think you do the same with your team. They all look up to you. But I think, again, showing them that you have confidence in them and their ability to go higher. Because I think it's hard to envision yourself sometimes as being able to take it to the next level.
Yeah, but I feel like that's how you can be successful, right? For us to level up and to be a leader, we have to teach everyone around us to be a leader.
Yeah.
If not, it just makes our job more difficult, right?
Correct.
I just want to be surrounded by all these powerful humans that are going to make my job easier and then show the reward when they grow.
But do you always feel like there are other women who will do the same to you and are there to uplift you?
So I would say in the past, probably not as much, but now that I've gotten older, I have really aligned myself with really amazing people. And I look at it that if you cannot be in the same part of your life and you want to lift me up and I want to lift you up, I don't want any negative energy in my life right now to pull me down. I'm past that part of my life. And I think we go through that when we're younger and deal with those individuals. And now I'm like, no.
Yeah. And I think that what I have found is the further up I go, the more women are here to really support each other and say, come up the ranks with me. Again, you're an excellent example of somebody who is trying to bring everyone up around her. And that's obviously something that stands out to me and is, I absolutely respect about you.
Thank you. That was so sweet. Look, women giving women love. I love that.
The Formula Wellness 4 cornerstones are nutrition, functional wellness, aesthetics, and brain health. These serve as a guide rail for individuals that are pursuing longevity inside and out. Formula Wellness is setting the new benchmark in preventative healthcare and aesthetics. Thank you for all of your support. To learn more, please visit www.formulawellness.com.
So we talked a little bit about when you were in school and it was kind of hard to figure out where you want to go in life. And we talked about how difficult it is for women that we kind of say, all right, we started this way that we're going to live life. And so we're just going to do the best we can and not try to change that. But you took a step and you literally changed your major a few times and decided, you know what, I'm going to do what I feel best in life. Can you give me some encouraging words and how do you get the strength to do that at such an early age?
Yeah. I went to just a little bit of background. I got a scholarship for business. So I naturally decided that was the major I was going to take in college. As soon as I got into my first accounting class, I said, this is not for me. So I shifted over to psychology, which is what I was truly passionate about. And then after a while doing psychology, I thought, well, this is a great degree. I love it. I don't want to not have a degree in psychology, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing this. So then I decided to get a double major in communications so that I could possibly get a job after college. And so having that kind of what fills me up and to make sure that whatever path I was on is something that I was passionate about, that I would say is something that was ingrained in me from being a small child, kind of that fierceness and that kind of unwavering commitment to things that are important to me. it's hard for women. I mean, it's hard for anyone really when you go to college because you feel like you have to know what you're supposed to do with the rest of your life. And so I felt that pressure also, but I knew that I could not be successful doing something that wasn't authentic to me and who I was. And so, I went into the communications space and then came into marketing, which I love. And I was able to blend, there's a lot of psychology that goes into marketing. That's really marketing at its core is, trying to understand people's behaviors and pain points and things like that. So, just again, making sure that I was staying true and respecting my own personal values is something that I have had that kind of unwavering commitment to, and something that I try to teach and preach to others around me as well, because as soon as you start deviating from that, it's you're no longer true to yourself, and then what are you doing it for?
Yeah, look, I agree. And it's very difficult. You went back and got your master's, right? You continue to push forward. And it's interesting because I had to take a little bit of a humility pill with my daughter. She has changed her major 3 times and she's trying to find her way in life, right? And I'm trying to support her and uplift her. But sometimes that's very difficult, right? Being that type A personality, I knew from the time I was 10, this is what I wanted to do. This is by the time frame I needed this by 29, this by 30, this by 30. Like, it was all spelled out for me, which is probably a little bit non-healthy when I look at it back, and really allowing now for them to figure it out, but own that position, right? And be strategic and healthy. And like you said, authentic of what they want to do in life, because there's nothing more than we want for our children, for other women to be really happy in the space they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine as a parent, kind of the pressure that you would be under when your child is kind of making those shifts. But, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? And so just allowing her the time, the room and space to make sure that she's staying true to herself. And, I think that exploration probably will create something that's a lot more of a solid foundation for her. And it will be, she'll be learning along the way. So easier said than done, because when it's my child, they're still a little young, they're still young, but I could understand the pressure that you might feel as a parent, and maybe equating that to, is that more time and money and things like that. And, you really want them to be secure in their life. However, I can also understand, because of the shoes I've been in, I can also appreciate and respect the journey that happens. And that, had I stuck it out in business, I don't think I would have been where I am today. And so I'm proud of those changes I went through.
Proud, me too.
Oh, thank you.
I will definitely say, and as women, we are, right? We have to be perfect to everyone. So we have to be the perfect business person, the perfect mom, the perfect spouse, right? Perfect caregiver. And we put a lot on ourselves. And I always want to tell people that nothing is perfect. I know that they, a lot of times, will look at strong women and go, oh, they have it all. And they don't forget about the journey we took, all the mistakes we made, all the failures we had. It doesn't take away from where we are in today's world. And I want people not to be discouraged, to really strive to get there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the perfect thing is something. So I was a perfectionist. I still am. I'm trying to get away from that, kind of an ex-perfectionist, ex-people pleaser. Yes. I've done that my whole life, right? And so, yeah, especially with raising a daughter, one of the most important things I've tried to teach her is there is no such thing as perfect. So, I know you want to be perfect, but there is no such thing as perfect. And so we got to just give it our best shot. And if we give it our best shot, that's enough. And I think allowing ourselves to say, this is enough, I am enough. These things that I'm giving are enough. And I think we're taught often by society that we don't give enough. And so I think that that's important. So I try to get away from the use of perfect, because I think most things are imperfect, and we've got to be okay with that.
Yeah, we're definitely imperfectly perfect.
Correct.
Right.
I like that.
I almost think that we give too much as women, and so we stretch ourselves really, really thin, and something has to give.
Yep.
And most of the time, it's about us. We give up taking care of ourselves, both the way we look, the way we feel, going to the gym. I mean, we give up our time to make sure that our family members have their time. And that's one of the things that if I can give people advice is you can't make other people happy or fill them if you're not yourself filled. And so we have to constantly fill ourselves up so that we can be a better, avenue to other people to really support and help them. And that's difficult, I think, for women.
Yeah, I use that analogy all the time, the oxygen mask. You got to put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. And easier said than done, right? Because we are, as working women, as, mothers, as partners, you want to make sure that you're doing really well in those spaces, and we end up sacrificing who we are. And I've become a lot more, I think with age comes a little bit more of that unapologetic nature of, I'm going to take care of me, and this is not me being selfish, and this is not me being self-absorbed. This is me taking care of myself. It's interesting how some people may perceive that as being self-absorbed or being selfish. And so I'm really proud of the fact that I take time out of my day to work out and to do things, to read a book, to do things that make me happy, because I won't show up nearly as effective as an individual if I don't do those. So yeah, that kind of unapologetic kind of standing firm in our desire to take care of ourselves, I think is super important.
I'm going to call it wisdom.
Yes, same.
We just get wiser as we get older, and we understand that rest of that little bit doesn't really matter, and we have to take care of ourselves. So you are pretty young still, and you got into, when you started at Formula Wellness, I think you've been in the aesthetic world. How did the aesthetic and wellness world kind of collide for you into a great purpose?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I've been in the aesthetic space since 2005, so it's been a really long time. And, as with kind of the aesthetic space has always traditionally just kind of dealt with the outside. And it's this kind of new shift towards the complete person, the kind of looking at your complete picture. And so, again, wellness came into the picture maybe a couple of years ago, and there's been kind of this, what a lot of people refer to as wellness light, doing kind of some wellness here and there, the, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I was introduced to about 2 years ago, and did kind of a blood panel. At the time, I was 41, 42 years old, and didn't think that, there was anything that could possibly be wrong with me. What I found was that I was showing signs of perimenopause, and, with hormone therapy was able to optimize some of my levels, and provided a huge payoff for me in terms of being able to sleep. My sleep was improved, energy was better, muscle tone.
I think women too, they come in, and we have a lot of women 30s and 40s now that'll come in and think it's okay to be extremely fatigued. Mm-hmm. They have poor concentration. They're not understanding, they're working out and nothing is happening, right? There's no transformation. And they're kind of afraid to go to their primary. And if they do go to their primary, typically it's, you're still having normal periods, you're fine.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem, is that I talked to my OBGYN and I talked to my primary care provider, and nobody indicated that there was any problems with it. I think if anything, I probably just got, more prescriptions sent my way. And nobody really looked at what was truly going on inside of me and kind of taking a comprehensive overview of my health.
Yeah, that comprehensive view of looking at all the parameters is really the difference between optimizing where we are, mm-hmm. and allowing us to stay suboptimal, right? And it's like we level up in our career, we level up in our lives, and we need to level up on our health.
Absolutely.
And I think the wellness aspect of that is going to be our new terminology for leveling up.
Yeah. And that's why I was really drawn to Formula Wellness, because it was kind of the first time where I saw in my career that I saw a company really doing that kind of, what I like to refer to it as, like the 360-degree overview of a patient. And that kind of idea of you can't look your best if you don't feel your best, if you're not sleeping right, if you're not eating right, if you're not taking, if you don't have the proper diet. And so I buy into this so much. Like, I truly believe that this is the way that the industry will go. So super excited about it because it makes perfect sense. It absolutely makes perfect sense. So I'm excited to be a part of it, and obviously just a huge proponent of it personally as well.
Yeah, we're definitely leading the forum of feeling great inside and out. And so it's been a pleasure now being part of the Formula Wellness brand, right? Because we believe in those pillars and those core values of our nutrition, our aesthetics, wellness, brain performance. How do we have that 360 view to make everyone feel and look their best? And that's going to be a really exciting platform for all of us to continuously build our practices.
Absolutely. And I'm most excited about the kind of their last cornerstone that they just rolled out, which is the brain performance, because it takes into account mental health. And so that is huge to me because I think, I mean, obviously we know it's, there's people are suffering all around us. And the fact that we are looking at mental health as a part of this picture is, again, it makes perfect sense now, but it's crazy that we weren't thinking about that 5 or 10 years ago, but I'm very excited that we're bringing it to the forefront.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anybody else right now that has incorporated brain performance. I like to think of it about mental well-being, right? We have the highest incidence of anxiety and depression all the way from high schoolers all the way up now. And it really breaks my heart that, it's just a prescription, but there's so many other things that we can do to help people. So now not only are we helping the outside, the inside, but now we help the brain. And that's really a full 360, as you said. And
Yeah.
I'm super excited where this platform is going to take us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I.
Absolutely. And I really loved having you on here, but I'm going to have to ask you our last question, which I think is always a difficult one for people because you can think of it in so many ways. But what does beauty mean to you?
Beauty to me is, I think that that's just highly dependent on the individual. And I think it's inner peace and happiness is true beauty. There's nothing more beautiful than somebody who's at peace and is happy. I truly can't think of something better than that. So inner peace and happiness.
And we all want that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Laura, for coming in and being with us. We so appreciate it.
Thank you.